When did Eddie Murphy cross your screen? When did you first meet him? When did that ever happen for you?
Well, after Lorne left the show,
Yeah.
They gave it to somebody else, and that person did not have much luck. But she did. She did hire Eddie. And when I got to Saturday Night Live, about 2 months after he was hired, it took me about 4 seconds to realize he was about the most talented young person in comedy I had ever met. On top of it, he really could conceptualize all kinds of things. And with two writers who later wrote most of his movies, Blaustein and Sheffield, they began to write sketches for me, and almost every one of them were memorable, including my favorite, which was the assassination of Buckwheat. It was Eddie's idea. The character was the hottest thing in America at the time. And he came in to pitch it to me. I said, "Eddie, you realize not only are you maybe committing a big mistake here, but you're making my life really difficult." He said, "Come on, Dick, this is really a good idea." So, excuse me, I said yes. And the three of them, Blaustein, Sheffield, and Eddie, sat down, wrote the assassination of Buckwheat. And about 2 hours later, they're back in my office, and they said, "We got to do the follow-up." And I said, "What's the follow-up?" And they said, "The assassination of John David Stutz." I said, "Who's John David Stutz?" "Well, he's the assassin." They, write down the three names. It couldn't be
right
a name, Jack Ruby or something like that, but it was Stutz.
Oh my God!
The only addition to that story is that about a day and a half before it was done, it had been rehearsed, the censors came to see me and said, "You can't do that. Too many people will think that we're really having an assassination." I looked at him and I said, "Are you guys out of your mind? This is Eddie Murphy, the hottest comic in America, and we're staging his character, Buckwheat. Get out of here." And they kind of realized their folly, and they stopped doing that.
Oh, my gosh. Is it true, Dick, that the real Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, asked you to please have Eddie cease and desist of Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood? Is that true?
Same year. I'm sitting at my desk. My assistant comes in and says, "Fred Rogers is downstairs." I said, "Yeah, sure." Anyway, I finally said, "Bring him up." So he came up, and he sat with me, and I think Bob Tischler, my co-producer at the time, and we heard him out, and he just said he thought it was sacrilege, and Mr. Rogers had this pure reputation and all that. And I said, "Mr. Rogers, come on. This is a lovable comedy piece from somebody who loves you." No matter how I tried, I was getting nowhere. So I said, "Mr. Rogers, come with me." And I walked him down the hallway with me into the writers' offices and where Eddie was.
Oh, gosh.
And I left him there alone. I figured particularly Eddie would romance the hell out of him. Anyway, a little while later, Mr. Rogers stopped by my office to say goodbye and said he was sorry it hadn't worked out. I quickly went back down the hall. I said, "What the hell happened?" And he said, "We tried everything, boss, but he just doesn't want it done." I said, "Well, we're doing it, but we just are not going to talk to Mr. Rogers anymore." And sure enough, we introduced the character that weekend. It was a sensation. And since it was such a wet kiss to Mr. Rogers, nobody in the media or anywhere else ever said a word about it. And I never heard from Fred again.
Oh, my gosh.